Hi, I'm Bette Hochberger, CPA, CGMA, and welcome to Finance Friday. And we have Michael Bell joining us today, all the way from California. Mike is a first time, and as he says, a last time author of the international best selling book, Seller Mistakes. It hit number 3 on the Wall Street Journal list in 2021, which is amazing. Michael is a full-time real estate broker in Pasadena, California for Sotheby's International Realty and ranked in the top 0.01% of all agents nationwide. That's a crazy number,
Wow.
0.01%. Michael told me he'd hoped to sell a few hundred books, but the book is really taken off and sold more than 38,000 copies. What he writes about and what we're going to talk about has obviously resonated, and that's why I asked him to join. So, welcome, Michael. Happy to
Thank you,
have
Beth.
you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hello from California.
Yeah, right. All the way. It's funny what you can do with the internet now, right? Because it feels like we're in the same room and we're different
Yeah,
sides of the
totally.
continent. So, writing a book, right? And I've had a couple authors come on. So, what was your journey in writing this book? What was that like for you?
Wow. Don't take this the wrong way, but if you haven't written a book, it'll sound really negative. But if you've written a book, most everybody that I've said this to, if they've written a book, they all say, "Yeah, you're right." It's an excruciating process. It's really difficult. So the book took me 5 years, and what really happened for me was I didn't really like what brokerages and what realtors were professing that you needed to do to sell a house, and it seemed like a lot of the things that they told us to do were really self-serving for the realtor and not for the seller. So I decided to do a lot of research. And the best source of all this research is actually from the National Association of Realtors. They put out a 35,000 piece questionnaire to people that just bought or sold a home. And they ask them, I think it's 137 questions is this year. How did you find the house? How many agents did you interview? How important was the sign? The advertising, all this stuff. And they give all this to real estate agents. But for me, I looked at that and I started putting together what's called a white report. It's like an old fashioned research paper. I was just doing it for fun. I know, call me crazy, but I started
That
gathering
sounds like fun.
statistics.
A lot of fun,
That
right?
sounds like fun for you. Not for somebody like. Well, the thing is, it was a passion project. I couldn't let it go. I like to finish things, and I met a publisher 5 years ago, and he said, "There's a book there." So, like I said, it took me 5 years. It was excruciating. I had a few clients of mine that one is a literary professor at Kansas University, and I asked her if she would kind of take a look at this and help me put it all together. Anyways, I was hoping to sell 200 books. It sold 38,000 books. It's really resonated, and
Yeah, so
I
clearly there was a book there, right?
that was not the intention is to be a best-selling author, but and I think what's really resonating for folks, it seems to be the folks that are calling me and the folks that are giving me feedback are folks that have already sold a house before and they recognize that they made a lot of mistakes, and most of these mistakes actually are really uh, are really mistakes that realtors really don't tell you about. I mean, let me give you some examples. I'll give you some doozies. How's that?
Yeah, definitely. Let's hear some big ones.
Here's a big doozy. Everybody thinks when you sell a house, you have to do an open house. Okay. What's interesting is the National Association of Realtors doesn't tell you how effective an open house is. There are some statistics in there, but if you read my book, if you read the chapter about the effectiveness of open houses, you'll probably I'm not going to say what you're going to agree with, but you may you may agree with me that it's probably a 2% chance of selling your home because you had an open house. But this is the crazy thing about open houses. Open houses, first of all, they're really not very effective. The realtor gets to use the open house, your home, your living room to market themselves, right? And guess who comes to open houses? Neighbors and looky
Oh,
loos.
your neighbors, right? Yeah, it's everybody who wants to just like check out what your house looks like.
Yeah.
How did you decorate? What color is it? Style ideas, or maybe what
And
not to do. I
everybody,
don't know.
yeah, everybody acts the same way. They all act like they're real buyers, but also
Mm.
people that are thinking about selling go to open houses. Now, realtors know this.
Ah.
But this is the crazy thing. According to the National Association of Realtors, 49% of the agents that work an open house arm themselves. Open houses are dangerous. So
What?
40,
Wait, arm
49% of
themselves
them
like with
arm
weapons?
themselves with pepper spray, guns, or a gun, I should say, a knife or a taser in
Oh
that
my
order.
god. Oh my
That's
god,
how
that's
important.
scary.
But open houses are great for real estate agents. But let me ask you this: you remember when the pandemic started in March of
Yeah.
2020?
Yeah.
Everybody was on lockdown. We were basically deemed non-essential, and open houses
Mm,
nationwide were banned. But what
gotcha.
happened with real estate?
It
Everybody knows
certainly
what happened.
didn't stop. It did
No,
not stop. It's definitely not in
it,
Florida. It's been crazy here. The market's absolutely insane here.
yeah, it's so there's a chapter in there about open houses, but the biggest mistake that I find that people make is that they don't interview more than one agent. Uh, according to the
Oh,
national
okay.
According to the National Association of Realtors, most sellers just pick the first person they talk to, or their friend or a family member. So that might not that sound like that big of a deal. However, 75% of them never use that same agent again. And you have to wonder why.
So you're not building a relationship with the person then, right? It's kind of a one-off
Well, you should
situation.
be. I mean,
You should,
the
right? All your
the
professionals you should really build a relationship with. Hopefully it's not like a one and done.
yeah, I'm a firm believer. Like, if you're gonna remodel your kitchen, would you hire somebody that has to advertise, or would you work on referral?
Oh yeah, the referrals are the best.
The
Always.
referrals are always the best. Yeah,
Yeah, you know someone did a good job for your friend or for somebody else. You know they're going to take
yeah.
care of you also. So, totally down with that. And yeah, it's funny. I guess, I wouldn't necessarily thought that how important that is to find the right realtor and to actually talk to multiple people when you're selling your house. So, that's an interesting point. Um,
I have
so
another tip
Oh
about
yeah, I was gonna say what else? What
regarding.
else can you tell us without without giving away the
So,
whole book?
no, I have no problem with giving away the whole book,
Oh, okay,
actually.
we'll give away the whole book.
Well, there's a lot of mistakes that people make. But like I said, most of these mistakes really they're generated by the real estate agent because they really help the real estate agent. So another mistake a lot of agents, or I should say sellers, make is that they focus on the agent that's going to do the most advertising for them, like print ads and mailers. However, according to the statistics, you have a less than 1% chance of selling your home because of print ads and mailers.
Wow, so that's really not a helpful thing for people to look for when they're
Wait a minute.
evaluating. Wait,
But
there's
wait
more.
a minute. It's great for
Oh
the
wait, there's more.
realtor.
Because they're sending it out to everyone. They're getting their name in front of everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, there's also an amazing statistic I found was that 90% of the folks that try to sell their own home actually wind up hiring a realtor. I know that this day and age, everybody thinks that, gee, you can just throw it on the internet or throw it on Zillow and it'll just happen. Uh, it looks like that's just the way it is if you have a really good real estate agent. But there's a lot of things behind the scenes that have to happen. But
Yeah.
most people give up, which is kind of amazing.
Well, there's a lot you need to know. Like it's not easy to do a real estate transaction. To do it yourself is, I think, would be a little bit scary almost. You don't know what you don't know.
Well, you like statistics. I'm gonna throw out some
Yeah.
more statistics.
Some more numbers. I love it.
According to the National Association of Realtors, again, most of this stuff is not my opinion. It's just statistics. It's from the National Association of Realtors and other folks that I've pulled information from, and it's all resourced and put in the book. Um, uh, 85. The statistic is 85% of the agents that join the business will be out of the business in 5 years. What does that mean? If you hire an agent that has 5 or less years of experience, there's an 85% chance that they're going to be out of the business. And they're usually out of the business because they can't make it happen.
They don't,
And
it's
you
not
know,
working for them. Yeah. Businesses are the same way though. Like most of them shut down the first couple of years. It's the same.
yeah.
It's the same kind of a statistic.
So my whole thing is you should hire somebody who's really experienced. You
Yeah.
should interview three top agents
Mm.
locally in your neighborhood and just see if who has the right fit and who's saying the right things. Now,
That's
there's a
great
lot of
advice.
wrong things that people say when they're interviewing with you. And let me tell you one of them that's really a big
Oh yeah,
no-no.
a big one. Let's hear it.
If you and by the way, I know this is for Finance Fridays. This is all about saving money. This whole book is about how to maximize every dollar when you sell your house and to minimize the headaches and to sell it as quickly as possible. Because in our market, in almost any market, you usually make more money if you sell it quickly. It just doesn't work that you
Really?
wait a long time
Do
to
you,
try to. It
why
really
is
kind of
that?
depends.
Do you know why that happens?
Your best buyers always come at the very beginning. It's just the way the
Oh,
internet
okay.
works. People are the way
Cool.
people are searching for real estate. You everybody puts in their parameters, and it's like a radar, bing, 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 and it pops up your stuff. But if you're sitting on the market for a long time,
Something
most
wrong,
people think
right?
there's something
Something
wrong.
wrong. Too high. There's like holes in the
Bingo.
roof or something, right? Some damage you don't see went from the outside, maybe. And some kind of hidden problems in there. Oh,
Yeah,
that's very
exactly.
interesting. So it's important to get that pricing right,
It's
right
well, the
from the
pricing is
beginning.
incredibly important. But one of the things you want to watch out for when you're interviewing agents, if they tell you that they have buyers already for your house. Now, it sounds good, doesn't it?
That
However,
sounds like what you would want, I would think. No?
that's what you would want.
That's
But let me ask you this: wouldn't you want an advocate from beginning to end, somebody who's going to represent your interests only? Because
yes.
look,
Yeah.
they just met you, and they're telling you that they already have buyers. These are buyers that they've known for a long time. Who do you think their loyalty is going to be to? I'm just saying.
Okay, if it's people they've worked with
But
before and you're new, right?
but more importantly, we have there's a thing called dual agency.
Mm.
And dual agency is when your representative represents both buyer and seller. They represent both sides. Dual agency is actually pretty bad usually in most situations because when you're hiring an agent to sell your house, you should be hiring an advocate. Now, just like an attorney, how can an attorney represent both sides? They can't. But in the United States, there's 5 states that don't allow dual agency. California is one that does allow it as long as it's disclosed. But I'm a firm believer that whoever you hire to sell your home, they should be your advocate. Look, the agent that you hire to sell your house, their job is to make you the most amount of money. The agent that you hire to buy a house is supposed to get you the best deal. Those things are in conflict.
Right,
So
right.
the whole thing is don't let your agent represent both sides.
Gotcha. What are there any situations where that might make sense?
Certain situations that might make sense. For example, this doesn't happen too often to me, but it's about 7 years ago. I sold a condo in South Pasadena for over $1 million, and it was a really unique condo for a unique kind of buyer, and we just couldn't sell it. And
Mm,
it took 3 months, and then I got a phone call from somebody from Florida. They didn't know. Just how funny is that?
Florida?
They didn't know a single soul. And I called my
mm,
client and said, I know we had this conversation, but they don't have an agent here. Are you okay? Do you want me to represent them? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to find them a realtor? What do you want me to do? Because we haven't had any phone calls. And they said, oh, I don't really mind at all. Just do the
gotcha.
deal. But I'll tell you one thing. If your agent represents both sides, and like I said, you're better off selling your house quickly. But if you have multiple offers and the other buyers know that the listing agent who's representing the seller also has a buyer, it kind of kills the momentum of selling your house because buyers will know that they're competing with the listing agent. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the insider track almost, right?
It's the inside track. And
Yeah.
usually dual agency actually it's great for the buyer's agent. It's good. It's great for the listing agent because they get both sides, and it's
Right.
great for the buyer because they get the inside track. But it's hard to argue that it's good for the seller.
Right. That makes sense, definitely. So, Mike, I realize these aren't your opinions, but you're like shining a whole lot of light on things that I'm sure people are not happy about. So, has this made you a little unpopular with realtors since you've been writing this book? Are they getting mad at you?
I've gotten a few bad reviews on Amazon, and one, it was a really funny one. It was an agent that basically said, we're not all bad, but this is the way I do my business. I do my business with open houses and flyers, and that's their opinion, and that's fine. These are not steadfast rules. They're not steadfast mistakes, but for the most part, they do apply. I would say generally almost all the time. It really depends. If you're selling a $10 million home, maybe you don't want to put it on the market. Maybe you want to go to your own buyers. Some folks just don't want their properties on the open market. Some, it's at the end of the day, it's up to the seller. But if you
Right.
want to get market price, you need to put it on the open market.
Right, right. Okay, so you mentioned Amazon. Is there anywhere else that we can get your book?
They can go to my website, michaelbbell.com, and I'd be happy to get them a free copy.
Oh, ooh, free copy.
Look,
Wow.
I just, look, you could call me crazy. I just want to get the information out there. It's fine.
Right, right.
And I'll tell you a little dirty secret about Amazon and books. They don't
Tell.
treat their authors that great. I
Yeah,
don't make that.
really?
I really don't make that much money on each book. They make the
Yeah, it's
majority
hard.
of the money.
Yeah.
If I was Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama selling a book, that's a completely different story.
Right, it's a
So, but
different
I would
situation.
just like, yeah, I would just like to get the information out there. So,
That's fantastic. Well, that's certainly a service to anybody trying to sell their house. So do you have any last words of advice?
it's an easy read. Read the book. If any of your clients have any issues or questions, I'm happy to chit chat with them for 5 minutes. But the book is loaded with a lot of other great information. At the conclusion, there's a 4-page conclusion that just kind of has a synopsis of everything. So if you're not into reading a big old book, you can just read 4 pages. I guarantee you this will help you. I guarantee you it will also be a really great guide for your realtor that you decide to hire. Just tell them, hey, would you mind reading this book? I think you should. I would like you to see what you if you subscribe to these principles, and it's going to be kind of hard to argue against the principles in the book. That's my
That
recommendation.
that makes sense, and you're on the same page that way, right? Literally
Yep.
on the same page.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but realtors are not created equally, and it's not about.
It's true everywhere, every profession.
Yeah,
Not all CPAs are the same.
well, but a lot of folks think that we just enter, you just push the same, everybody pushes the same buttons and the end result happens. And frankly, it doesn't. If you talk to anybody in any profession, they'll all say the same thing. And
Yeah.
and I know that people leave money on the table all the time.
Yeah.
And this book will really minimize that for you.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so Mike, the last question. All right, this
Oh,
is the hard one. The hard one. Do you have any weird, strange hobbies? I told you mine before.
strange hobbies.
Or anything interesting about you? Maybe unusual.
You mean other than annoying my wife?
That's not a. That's not a hobby. That's just part of life.
Strange hobbies. No, not really. As soon as I had kids, I kind of got rid of a lot of my hobbies. We're doing a lot of Boy Scout stuff right now.
Oh, we do
And
too. My son,
yeah,
my son just submitted his Eagle project to the troop committee, and it got approved. So,
congratulations. My son is going to do something like that probably hopefully by the end of the summer. That's the big goal. I'm an Eagle
jeez.
Scout, and my boy
Oh,
wants my
nice.
both of my boys want to be Eagle Scouts. So it's
That's
congratulations. That's wonderful.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's dragging him along in that process. But what's great is it became co-ed. So my daughters are also my older daughter. She's not quite ready to start her project, but she's a Life Scout. And my younger one crossed over in the pandemic actually. So we're trying to catch her up. We weren't able to camp that much for whatever reason. I guess being outside in the wilderness. I mean, we don't really have wilderness in South Florida, but there was a lot of restrictions on where we could camp, so it held it up. But it is an unusual hobby, I think, to become
Yeah.
like a scout parent, or if you're involved as a scouter, it's definitely unusual.
It's the best though. It is a lot of fun. I get to
It's a
relive a
lot of
lot of the
fun.
stuff that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot
So
of fun. I
thank you
get to
for
go to
having me.
camp every year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to put your contact info along with the post and your website. So anybody who needs to reach out and get his book, even if Amazon is not sharing a whole lot of the money. Let's help boost his sales even more. Thank you so much, Mike. You were a fantastic guest, and we will see everyone next time.